Good evening, everyone, and welcome inside upon further review for this Wednesday or Thursday if you're joining us on 1380 The Fan 100.9 FM. I'm Eric Doot 𝙿𝚘𝚜𝚡 alongside the coach Shannon Griffith, taking you up for about the next hour or so, talking all about regional action from last Friday night in high school football from teams around our area and getting you ready for the big semi-state matchups this coming Friday across the state and across our region. Coach, good to be with you once again. We keep motoring through this season, and here we are at semi-state week, and still quite a few of our teams playing with some big games on the horizon this Friday.
Yeah, it looks like there's a pretty good statistical chance that we will have at least one group playing in the state finals potentially, but I wouldn't doubt if we may have a couple at the end of the Friday night next week. We'll just have to wait and see. Again, some really good ball games and some ones that you may have thought game was over, but a team comes back and wins it like Garrett did over Knox in a very thrilling game from what I gathered on Friday evening. So, big wins. Luers has knocked off two top teams. They took care of Mississippi that was undefeated, McConaughey, and now they get the chance to go up against this Garrett team that was in a great game at home last week against Knox. But we'll see how they travel now. But their defense is really good, and you know what they say, defense travels.
Yeah, defense travels. Defense wins championship. It was a big Friday night for our area. Just kind of recapping some of the scores here from top to bottom. Carroll goes on the road to Crown Point. They fall. That was one team that did fall in our area. They lose 38-21. A fine showing by Jimmy Sullivan in his final game as a Charger. I think threw for 3 touchdowns and over 250 yards in that game. Warsaw, kind of outside our area. We don't talk a lot about the Tigers, but how about them getting the big upset win over Lafayette Jeff, the number 1 team in Class 5A? Well, the de facto number 1 team because they beat number 1 Concord the week before. And so it was really back-to-back wins for that Warsaw team and Bart Ball. Their first regional championship in school history.
So huge.
What's that?
And Bart, just like you said, the chance that they have gone on to upset as well or beat two of the top tiered ranked teams, which is interesting because you've got Bart Ball with the triple, and then you've option concepts, and then you've got Garrett and Adams Central, 2 teams that like to run a version of that more along the lines of a wing T setup. So 3 specialty teams have played and upset some good ball teams along the way, and it's kind of interesting to see those teams make it into the semi-state. And you got to say Warsaw's I don't know if you were surprise showing of the area, but with what they had to go through and still have to go through with Maryville even, but they get them at home. They still have had a very rugged tourney thus far.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I didn't mean to interrupt you, but they were just so.
No, that's good, and it's good to talk about Warsaw a little bit because they're, like I said, we focus heavily on Fort Wayne, the SAC, and kind of the Big Four conferences: NE8, ACAC, NECC. Warsaw being in the NLC, the Northern Lakes Conference, kind of on the outskirts and really kind of out of the area, so to speak, just the outskirts of our area. Don't get a lot of attention from the Fort Wayne media, so to speak, but definitely want to give them a shout out in what they were able to do heading to their first semi-state ever with a win over Lafayette Jeff 44-27. In 4A, the game we were at, Coach, up in Kendallville, East Noble trounces Huntington North. This game was all East Noble early, and then late in that first half and into the second half, Huntington North tried to make a game of it. They started to put some pedal to the metal, but too little too late. And East Noble's defense really came through with some big turnovers and some touchdowns off of that, and East Noble rolls. But your thoughts real quickly, Coach, on what we saw Friday night as East Noble marches on to semi-state?
Well, Huntington North and give East Noble more opportunities to get the ball in the end zone, and then plays, which I call cheap scores, because, it's a one play bomb and it's 6 points at the other end. So they ran into, again, an East Noble team that has played very consistently, and in all practical purposes probably would be, could argue that they should be or could be undefeated in that regard. But and then from about the 9-minute mark of the second quarter, it was all East Noble, and it was boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Boom, just right down the line real quick. So, Crail played well, as we see, as did
Biddle, quarterback.
I'm losing the track of his name already. The guy that I love.
Biddle at quarterback, 69.
He had a tremendous game.
129 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick for Biddle. Also added 27 yards on the ground. 131 yards for Dylan Crail and 2 touchdowns there. Logan Hatton with a big game on both sides of the ball. Very impressive there. 72 yards receiving and a touchdown. And then I think had a pick in there. Dylan Crail, I think, had a pick 6 as well. We can't leave that out. So, Dallas Plattner, another name guys all over the field, and they really showed their dominance in that game and why they're the number 2 ranked team in Class 4A, heading back to the North Semi-State. And they are playing, I believe, Mishawaka in Mishawaka come Friday.
Mishawaka Cavemen, which is really interesting because Snyder just played them a year ago.
Yeah,
in 5A.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Snyder
so Mishawaka's dropped down in class.
Snyder played Mishawaka in the 5A regional and won with Mang Tung's long field goal. Yeah. And then they played Maryville in the semi-state out at Spooler Stadium. And so Maryville and Mishawaka now both heading back to semi-state in different classes now that Snyder is up in 6A. So big moments for those teams as well. Maryville, an established program. Mishawaka, a long-standing tradition there as well.
So Mishawaka and Warsaw are identical in what they run. And so it will be tough for East Noble to get that defended in a couple days of practice prior to going up there. So that's going to be a tough ball game on them, just from the standpoint of what challenges Mishawaka presents.
Yeah, absolutely. In 3A, Bishop Luers and Garrett, the big winners there. Luers takes care of Mechaniqua 31-28, another nip and tuck game there at the end. The defense played large early, and they got the lead. And then they had to hold off the Braves, an undefeated team. They were able to do that out at in Bunker Hill, where Mechaniqua is. A big game for them. And then Garrett also just edging Knox, second week in a row, 1-point victory for the Railroaders. That sets up a Bishop Luers Garrett semi-state this Friday at Luers Field, 26 miles apart. We'll talk about that matchup later. In fact, we got great guest in McKale Woodson from Bishop Luers going to join us here momentarily. And then also later on, we'll have South Adams defensive back and wide receiver Caiden Neuenschwander to join us. And South Adams, they 2 Adams County team, coach, in Class 2A. Let's go through them. Adams Central puts it on Eastern of Greentown, 42-7, kind of the rinse and repeat mode, dominant performance. That sets up another semi-state for them, 4th straight, I believe. And then South Adams, the surprise team really for our area to go again and win, beat a 10-2 North Miami team, 40-21. I mean, big numbers for these Starfires in these in this postseason. Really impressive on what they've been able to do once they've hit the Class 1A bracket.
Yeah, South Adams has gotten hot here towards the end of the year. I know their quarterback's thrown for like 2,600 yards and, doing what they normally do there at South Adams and, spread it out and throw it around. They'll have a tough one at North Judson. Adams Central is going to have a tough one at Andrean. That's always, that one again, for those individuals that may be listening to us, that will more than likely be a times. It's just check the times with it being in the region, them being an hour behind us.
You got it. Well, I think it's good time to bring in our first guest. We mentioned it earlier on. One of the big winners from Friday night was Bishop Luers rolling on, and we're delighted now to be joined by one of the key players from that Luers defense, McKale Woodson, joining us here tonight on Upon Further Review. McKale, thanks for joining us tonight. Yeah, looking at your schedule and some of the stats here from the defensive side of things. This postseason, 17.8 points allowed. You've already had 15 turnovers this year. Talk about this defense and what they're able to do to fly around the ball when it's in the air, to attack the line of scrimmage, to get in the backfield, 32 sacks all year. Just talk about what makes your defensive unit so good at the Lou.
I would say, honestly, it's just our environment, everything. Coach Bradley, Coach P, Juice, everybody, they just bring everybody together. We have time just to get to know each other, and then we just have that relationship on the field, and we can just communicate and tell like when somebody messes up, we just say, hey, we're good. Let's just do the right thing the next time. Yeah, so we just have that relationship.
Yeah, McKale, let's talk a little bit about the quarterback situation, because you guys have both now have utilized White and Patterson, who have identical yardage in terms of completion yards and almost the same number of attempts. How is that working out on Friday nights?
I would say, honestly, we just have different situations for each one of them, to be honest. We have Devin, he's more of the mobile quarterback. Jace, he throws it. He can read the defenses. I mean, both of them are great quarterbacks, and both of them are going to help us win.
Yeah, it seems like you're getting great play out of both. Now, right now, as far as receivers go, you've got about 4 different guys that have about the same number of receptions. So it appears that the distribution from the quarterbacks has enabled you guys to have a very broad-based attack with the wideouts, so no one can gang up on one per se.
Have a good relationship with all of us. We all train together after school and everything. So
yeah. Well, McKale, people see the Woodson name and might wonder. Some people know, some people don't. We talked about this, and you were cool with this. Your uncle is Rod Woodson. You're the nephew of my, as far as I'm concerned, greatest defensive back in NFL history, Pro Football Hall of Famer. Playing that position and having Rod Woodson as your uncle, just talk about maybe some of the feedback you've gotten from him. I know he visited practice earlier this year when he was home for his Hope Through Football camp. Just the importance he's played and your football journey. And really, I know you come a very athletic family across the board, but obviously Uncle Rod is the one that everybody really knows. Just talk about that and how valuable getting, a listening ear from him has been in trying to play the position that he made so great.
I mean, it is great. Right now I'm trying to make a name for myself, McKale Woodson, and not just like Rod Woodson's nephew. So yeah, but honestly, it's great to have like that type of person in your life. You can watch their film, watch everything that they've done, and then you kind of just practice what they do. Like, yeah, I send him my film after some games. He tells me what I'm doing right and wrong, and we just make those corrections and train with them hopefully this summer too. So yeah.
Very cool. And then so your dad is one of his brothers. Who's your dad?
Joe Woodson.
There you go. So for those of you out there who know the Woodson family, Joe's McKale's dad, and Rod is McKale's nephew, and all of that. The state run from a year ago for you guys. Oh, I'll put you back in there. The state run that you guys had. You guys did it in 2A. You come back. A lot of guys come back. What does a state title do for, when you've done it. What have you been able to do to come back, and what was the message this summer, this off season, coming off of that state title, especially when you guys moved up to Class 3A?
Coach Lindsay always preached it. He just said everybody has a target for us, and the target's on Bishop Luers' back, and we don't want our season to end. So we just have to keep on doing what we did, practice hard throughout the days, practice like a state championship team to make us go to that 3A state championship and win.
Real quickly, the matchup with Garrett, another local team around here. Everybody tends to follow them as well. Just talk about the opportunity to play them, a story, a different style of offense. You've seen a lot this year, especially as you look through film and get ready for that game. The matchup this Friday with Garrett, and really the work that's cut out once again for this Luers defense.
Obviously they're undefeated. They have an undefeated season, and we should just keep on playing how we do. We're in practice hard, especially this week, how we always do, to go to that state championship. This is the week where we figure out when we go to state. So
there you go. Well, we certainly wish you guys luck, you and Garrett, in a big one in the North Semi-State this Friday out at Luers Field. It's going to be a great crowd out there, and we're looking forward to seeing that game and one of the many games going on this weekend. And good luck to you. Thanks for joining us tonight on Upon Further Review, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. That was McKale Woodson, the wide receiver and defensive back for the Bishop Luers Knights, on their way to semi-state yet again. The defending champions in 2A, actually not defending since they've moved up to 3A, but reigning in 2A, now moved up to 3A, and 2 wins away, Coach, from a 3A championship. And Bishop Luers is the program that withstands the test of time because they're doing it once again.
Yeah, they have done a real good job here towards the middle part of the year, like they have done in the past with Coach Lindsay, where he gets honed in on what they can do and handle as an offense and even as a defense. And then he does a great job of, sticking with the things that are getting them positive outcomes and getting rid of things that have an effect on them in terms of negative outcomes. The big thing for them is they've got to still play disciplined football and not have any foolish penalties heading down the stretch here.
Yeah, absolutely. And, their offense has clicked as well. We talked about Jace White kind of assuming the controls for Bishop Luers when it comes to the quarterback position. We've seen D. Hogue, both sides of the ball. I think 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I mean, incredible to see so many playmakers on this team that have just played such a important role this year. Surrey and Williams and Felger and Patterson, Devin Patterson, quarterback for most of the year, and just different guys in different places. And when you have that experience and you have that ability to run guys out there that can make plays all over the field, you get it. Because, I mean, we didn't really talk to McKale about this too, but he's also out there receiving. He's returning kicks. He's on defense. So they're playing a lot, and that's cool to see too, what they've been able to accomplish yet again after running the gauntlet of the SAC season, and then now they're back with another deep run in the playoffs. And it should be a good one out there at Luers Field. I mean, for Garrett, we've seen them a couple times now. I mean, just their ability to control the line of scrimmage and get downhill and crash. And, they're a tough team to battle, and they've shown it once again and continue to do so.
Yeah, Garrett's, outside of their offense being very productive in what they do with Rubel and their other attacking receivers. I think Skelly was the other one. or Shelley. I can't remember the wideout that they have up there because his name keeps slipping my noggin. But Garrett's defense is where they're getting the most production from. They've been able to, shut teams down. Unfortunately, against Knox, it was a back and forth game because they were equally matched. So in the end, this one should be a good one, and we're very hopeful that we're going to get able to broadcast it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a big part of it too. We're guaranteed a semi-state champion from our area just by virtue of the two teams from the semi-state, 26 miles apart. That's what's interesting about this too, and the way that they divide up the state and all of that. The idea that here's the two teams 26 miles apart, and they're going to play each other for the semi-state when other teams are traveling 2.5 hours for a regional game and things like that. But nevertheless, I mean, that's exciting because, great teams, rich tradition at both of those schools. And this should be a fun one on Friday night to see these two teams. And man, I have to go back and look. I'm going to check it while you're answering this. But, this time of year is big. But, when the weather is cold and things like that, being able to run the ball, and both of these teams do that well, Coach.
Yeah, you have to be able to have a running game throughout the playoffs, but more importantly, as you get into potential weather situations that you may run into. I have not seen the forecast for Friday, but I know that we're in for a big change late in the week after having a pretty warm start up this week. It's supposed to turn a little bit colder, and I did hear the dreaded S word, snow.
Absolutely. Well, looking at the stat, I just pulled that up. Luers 7-0 all time against Garrett. Their last meeting was the sectional championship in Class 3A in 2014. So 10 years since these two teams have played. Luers won that one 54-6 in 2014. That was one of those years too where I don't know how quite far. Let's see. Okay, they lost the state they lost semi-state to Andre, and Luers did. So number one. So Andre and another team that's still around again this year. So that should be a good game, and we'll look forward to that. One of the top games in our area and across the state as the teams march on towards Lucas Oil Stadium. Well, another team's still in it. You can maybe call them a Cinderella. Maybe you can call them the surprise, but what they're calling themselves is regional champions again in semi-state qualifiers, the South Adams Starfires. And we're pleased to be joined now by one of the key members of that team, Caiden Neuenschwander, joining us tonight on Upon Further Review. Caiden, thanks for joining us. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Well, first of all, congrats. I mean, wow. Regional champs, sectional champs. Just talk about this postseason run, what this team is able to do and put it all together to get here. And it just kind of this magical run that you guys have had this postseason.
Yeah, I mean, coming in 19th in the state, no one would have thought we'd be going to semi-state sectional champs at the least. I mean, like we come in, we have a losing season, and then we come in 8-5 now. Come in, we beat a top 10 team in the state. We beat a top 10 team in the state again in sectional. Beat a top 5 team and a top 10 team again. So, I mean, I think we've just been shocking a lot of people. The coaches, I mean, I don't know. We've been shocking.
Yeah. What is it about this team? Where has that success, the ability to, I mean, we talked about it with McKale Woodson with Luers too, the ability to kind of hit the reset button for this team in this postseason run. What was the different vibe in the locker room from regular season to postseason that you've found this momentum and success?
I mean, honestly, I don't even know. I think it's been the same all season. I think I don't know. We've got some new guys on the team, and I mean, they had I think that was just I don't even know how to say it. I mean, I think you just needed to get going, and once we won a couple games, then we got going.
Yeah. Well, looking at your stat line from the regional versus North Miami, 6 catches, 74 yards. You've had some big games throughout the year. Titus Lehman, the quarterback, has had some big games. This offense, let's start there, and just what makes that offense so dynamic. The ability, I mean, you guys throw the ball a lot, and it seems like that's something that's always been put from the Warner brothers, and now with Titus at quarterback, and I'm sure down the line, even too, with Grant Moser being the head coach, that's become a staple of this team. Talk about the dynamic offense, that passing down the field, opening it up, and how that, you guys can find the end zone that way. Not the same style of football we see from a lot of the other ACAC teams.
Yeah, well, I mean, like you said, not a lot of 1A teams pass like we do. I don't think a lot of teams can stop what, South Adams football can do on the offense side, at least. I mean, Titus Lehman, he's an athlete. I mean, I think the offense is so good because it's me, Ty, Jax, McKay and Wes, all so close. I mean, we can all we do what we do. I mean, it's all like a bonding moment. We don't fight. It's all just close like that. It's easy to, do.
Well, let's answer a couple of questions here because you are a young team in respects that there's not a lot of seniors this year. You got a lot of juniors and sophomores playing. Your wide receiving core, you've got like we showed earlier, you've got 33 catches. McKean has 63 receptions, 938 yards on the year. And you got 2 other guys that are below you that have respectively almost 500 and 400 yards receiving. And that's not even adding the rushing game, like you said, with Patterson and Ramirez, both combined of almost 1,000 yards. So you talk about a collective group effort. Your offense, I would say, has been a collective group effort in the ability that any one of you on the field that touches the ball, it would seem that you guys are going to make plays. You're averaging 21.4 yards a catch on the year.
Yeah, I mean, that's the nice thing about South Adams football. I mean, we have a lot of we don't got big guys. We got a lot of athletes. It's full of athletes. I mean, going up against big schools, we've always been the smallest team. I mean, but we got guys that'll go and do unthinkable things. I mean, we have amazing guys. I mean, that's just the nice thing about.
What about, let's talk a little bit, because the last time that we saw you guys, it was a playoff game a few years ago, and your field was very, very muddy that night. But talk about the new surface that you guys got a year or two ago, and how much that has helped you guys in terms of having that sure footing each and every Friday night, as opposed to looking at the weather calendar and seeing if rain is in the forecast.
I mean, I love it. I mean, it being muddy. I mean, I love not falling each time I'm diving to catch. Going up to catch a ball. We all love it. I mean, it's just it's nice.
Yeah, and you're the track runner. We saw some speed in some of those highlights. I mean, talk about that. I mean, we have a lot of multi-sport athletes on there on our show, but you're a track guy. Middle distance, I believe. Just talk about that and the speed aspect that you bring to your position to help when it's, verticals downfield, go run and catch this ball. Talk about your speed and just your overall growth as a football player over the last couple of years, especially in this system that the Starfires have.
Well, I mean, it's definitely helped a lot having that speed. I mean, a lot of guys on the team have that type of speed. Me, Wes, I mean, deep balls. That's amazing. I love the nines. I love the deep balls. It's so fun. I love getting past guys. I mean, that's the nice thing about having speedy guys. Not a lot of people can stay with them. It's an easy 6 points. You know?
Yeah, it's huge. It's a huge advantage for you guys. And what about what your plans are after your senior year here? Are you planning on going on to school? Do you want to play at the next level, or what does that path look like for you?
I don't think I'm going to go to college.
Okay.
I think I'm going to stay. I'm going to landscape. And, yeah.
Well, hey man, there is a need for everything in this world. Just go be the best landscaper that you can be. That's all that matters, right?
Yeah. Hey, Caiden, one last question for you. The community support. I mean, we talk about it like Friday nights in Bern, Monroe, some of those places in the AC, especially when you two play each other, South Adams and Adams Central, but just that community. We talk about the facilities, the beautiful new complex that you guys have at Starfire Field, but the community support. I mean, it's a small town in Bern, Geneva, and all those places. Talk about that support and really how that kind of fuels you guys, because you really are representing that whole community down there.
It's insane. I love it. The South Africa, goodness, it's so cool. It's so cool to see such a small town come to one stadium, one field, and I mean, show us that they'll be with us. I mean,
yeah,
they want us to succeed. It's amazing. I mean, I see these 6A schools, and yeah, that looks fun. But then I'm glad I go to this 1A school. I mean, I don't know a lot of teams that have so much like small town people coming up and wanting you to win and wanting you to succeed in all that you do, and even off the field, it's amazing.
Excellent. So, well, yeah, we have certainly seen that through the years with ways a lot of the small communities are. Bern and South Adams, no exception. And we appreciate you, Caiden, for coming on tonight. Good luck to you guys at semi-state up against this Friday. As you guys heard back, 2022, you guys were state runners-up, so you found success. Hopefully that continues this Friday night. Best of luck to you guys down the road as you guys travel to North Judson for the North Semi-State in Class 1A.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much. That was Caiden Neuenschwander from South Adams High School, and glad to have him on the first Starfire that we've been able to get on the show this week. And, we talked about it. I mean, this team was 4-5 to end the regular season, 2-4 in the Allen County Athletic Conference, and really kind of off the radar. And wow, the run that they've put together, Coach, this is what it's all about. You get a new opportunity, and South Adams has shown that to the tens.
Yeah, they have. And like we said, they've gotten on a run. And, he even alluded to it. They had a losing record at the end of the year, and now they have a winning record. And that's what getting hot in the playoffs can do for you. And it's all about playing your best football at the end of the year. And that's what they're doing. They're going to have a tough one at North Judson Friday night against an undefeated team. And I do believe they run a little bit of the wing T, triple option concepts and things of that nature. But it'll be an interesting matchup up there at North Judson. They've never met. So that there's no there's no thing that they can, lean on that. Look at in that regard. So I do think that offensively they're very powerful. And I think it's shown by what we just talked about statistical wise. So when you get those type of teams like that and they got the speed to show it, that presents a lot of problems for a lot of small schools because they may not have the talent level to match up against them.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. We talked about the offense, pulling this stat up here on his little player profile board here. But for the regular season, South Adams averaged 32 points a game, gave up 21.6. In the postseason, it's a little cut off there, a little heart with the white, 44. So they've increased their scoring 12 points for almost 2 touchdowns per game. And their defense has come up big and, rallying in one game and holding off opponents in the other and just surprising people. And now they've got the opportunity to do it again this Friday when they head up to North Judson St. Pierre. That's up not too far from, the Michigan border state line, I think. But anyway, should be another good game for them, and they have a chance to move on. And like I said, I kind of jokingly said on the pregame show, the PSM High School Football Tailgate Show last Friday, the beauty of it is for South Adams too. Adams Central isn't in their sectional anymore because they moved up. And like I said, the ACAC as a whole, we've seen Adams Central last 3 state championship games, going for state runners up 3 years in a row, going for a 4th. South Adams in the year before that. So, 5 straight years, Adams County, either South Adams or Adams Central has been at the state finals. So a lot of good football down in those parts, south of Fort Wayne, and it really shows. And we're grateful to see to have Caiden on tonight and to see the Starfires keep marching on. So, and that kind of leads us to kind of going through these these games here, Coach, to look at the semi-state matchups. Let me pull this up here. Basically, we're down to 4 games for kind of our Fort Wayne area, with 5 teams remaining. And we'll kind of dive into these a little bit. 4A, East Noble at Mishawaka, and 2019 state runner-up was the East Noble Knights. There's number 2 in Class 4A. Now they make the trip to Mishawaka and try to get back to Lucas Oil Stadium. And every game is tough on here on out, Coach. And this will be no exception, especially with the style offense that Mishawaka runs.
Yeah, they are a well-coached team up there. They're in a pretty good conference as well. And I'm trying to pull up some of their stats on the year here to look at what they're doing, because that'll give me a better understanding. Yeah, rushing. They've got 2 kids that are over 1,000 yards on the year. Mishawaka does. One, it's got almost 1,300, and the other has almost 1,100 yards. And they've only thrown it 64 times. And that kid is a sophomore quarterback, and the 2 leading rushers are sophomores.
Yeah.
So this is an offense that these guys have run since they were in, Pee Wee football up there. So they're very well versed in what they do. And that's going to be the challenge for East Noble, getting ready for a team like this in a short period of time. So this will be a game they're going to want to get out in front and try to put some distance in between them and get Mishawaka out from what they want to do and force them into things they don't like. And getting them behind the chains off schedule will be an important facet to that game.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking at Mishawaka, they played New Prairie in the regional championship. They win 21-7. For Mishawaka, 43 attempts by 4 different guys for 248 yards and the 3 touchdowns. 0 for 2 passing. So there you go. But Landon Snyder, their quarterback, was the guy who also had 102 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns on the ground. So yes, there again, getting to a team like Mishawaka to throw the ball, and that's what it is. And look, they played Snyder a year ago regional. It came down to a field goal late for Snyder to move on. And that's how good Mishawaka can be and has been. And it should be a great game up at Mishawaka tomorrow night, or Friday night, I should say, in the 4A North Semi-State.
I said I was trying to see if we could show some video of them because I think it's a unique offense.
Sure.
Of course, I'm looking here, but I don't know if with my connection being what it is, tonight we're fighting some demons.
Let's see.
But
I might be able to post this something up here. Let me see if I can dial it in. But yeah,
we can. I mean, it was just going to be the highlights that they would show, and they just run it so good. So I don't know. Have you been able to?
Yeah, let me post. Yeah, here we go.
I could show it, but I'm a nervous of my
I'm waiting for this
connection. Yeah, I know, but I think it's a unique thing to show what they do as an offense. And this is Snyder, the young kid that you can see. Here's the triple Air Force offense, and this is what they do to you. They get you down and one-on-one scenarios, and if you make a mistake, it's 88 out the gate. And they also play very good defense. They run more of a stack defense, so it's a little different. And we've seen teams like this that run these type of offenses and a defense that's a little bit special as well. And they just do a lot of great things. We're actually going to see a pass. Oh my gosh.
Look at that.
Yeah. But
they're playing run.
Yeah. If you can see this, and this is what they do to you. And they get you thinking, after a while, you run the plays, and then all of a sudden you get guys going to sleep in the secondary, and they throw it over the top of you. And that's that's what they do. I mean, Snyder had trouble with them a couple years ago, and they were fortunate to get back in that ball game. And you can just see how they do things, and their linemen are always cutting, and they're not the big stocky type of guys. And it's just, it's an interesting offense to watch, especially when they run it well, and they run it very well. And here's the fullback. You got to tackle that guy because, he's a load. He's like Rubel from Garrett. So it's a very similar thing they run. So it gives us a little thing of them there. We can come back to us, but I was just saying it gave us the look that East Noble's going to have to face and how dangerous of offense it can be. And it's meant to get you one-on-one. And if I get 11 guys one-on-one, somebody in space is going to make a play, and they got the guys to do it. So it'll be a tough one for East Noble. I do think they're up for it because of what they do up front, but they're going to have to protect themselves because they're going to get cut a lot. And that's the one thing about this offense. They do a lot of cutting, especially at the line of scrimmage, because they just want to get you down for a second to get out around you.
Yep, and the key on the defensive side, Jim Shevlin brought it up, assignment football that you
right.
And in a short period of time, you kind of touched on it, the short period of time of switching to a new opponent and keying in your guys. Okay, you've got to watch the fullback. You've got to watch the quarterback. You've got to watch maybe the extra tailgate or where the guard pulls or wherever. And all of a sudden, it's like, you look at some of those highlights, it's like, it looks like 3 guys that got the handoff at the same time. Which one has it? It's almost like a sleight of hand, but And Mishawaka, Warsaw is another team. I know Bart Ball kind of started at Mishawaka, brought over to Warsaw.
Yeah, that's where he would. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Bart, Coach Curtis was at Mishawaka. This is what he ran. I believe one of his assistants is who took over for him when he left. So he still institute the same thing and they go to clinics together. But it's an interesting thing to try to defend because most teams, when you defend this, because like you said, you got to have somebody that tackles the dive, somebody that tackles the pitch man, and somebody that tackles the quarterback in those three areas. And most teams will not use a football to rep it so that you are getting guys in their assignments so that every time the play's going, you're doing your assignment, irregardless of what the ball's doing. That's what you got
almost where you teach, watch the ball, and then you're telling these kids in 1 week's time, don't watch the ball because in order to get the assignment down. That's fascinating stuff. What you'll hear here upon further review.
Yeah, that's
Looking
right.
on to North Semi-States, Class 3A, Garrett at Luers. Like we mentioned, first time these two teams are meeting in 10 years, 26 miles apart as Garrett will travel down to Luers Field in South Fort Wayne. This is going to be a good one just because Garrett has run the table. They've proven themselves to be there by their body of work has been phenomenal. Luers, it's one of those cases where they've got a really strong team, really strong conference. They've taken their lumps in the SAC, but they really got ready for the tournament. And here they are even moving up a class. And I think, to the players, to the coaches, they really like where they're at right now. And I think so that makes this a fun matchup because Luers has been there quite a few times and done that quite a few times. And Garrett, for as long as they've been around, first regional and now semi-state appearance since 2016. So this should be a dandy of a ball game and another styles clash when it comes to offense and some of the different things that these teams will have to look at.
Yeah, I wish we had more time that we could do some of it because it's an interesting offense as well. Very similar to what Mishawaka runs, but the difference is they're kind of more of a wing T concept team, just like Adams Central is, and that's what you get between Garrett and Adams Central. And Garrett beat Adams Central first game of the year, and everybody thought it was a fluke. But the reality of it is Garrett is a really good football team, as is Adams Central. And you look at Garrett and what they did last week against Knox. The key component there was how they do things. And it was one of those things that they found a way to win. And when you're a championship team, sometimes you need those games. You need those games as an enforcement of that you can do anything as long as you stay together and overcome. And that's what they've done. So I like their chances. Luers is going to have their hands full because they've got a talent level that is on par to what Luers has. You know what I mean? It's not like they're going to be, come there flat-footed anything. It's going to be like the teams that Eastside brought to Luers, in that regard. So it should be a dandy of the game. I like I said, I do believe that's the one that we're going to be doing, hopefully, as that's the closest one, I guess you could say, to us. And it's going to be a dandy of a game.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking back at that regional championship with Knox, Garrett, Calder Hefty, name we threw out here, 6 for 9, 222 yards on 6 passes, and 2 touchdowns, along of 64. And then on the ground, 11 carries, 87 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So 5 total touchdowns for Calder Hefty, who's that dual threat, really solid player for them. Guzman, Cameron Rubel.
Yes, Guzman.
Yeah, very good. Parker Skelly, 71 yards, 87 yards for Braden Nussbaum, somebody that's coming on for that team as well. Alex Guzman also had he had a rushing touchdown and a receiving touchdown. So yeah, these guys are built in there again. A lot of two-ways players. Nussbaum led it with 15 tackles.
I know.
It's crazy to see. And conditioning, that's a key part of it too. Because I always go back when we talk about Snyder State Championship last year when I was down on the field. And I interviewed Landon Fry after the game on the field. I said, what was the difference in the second half? And it wasn't, some big rah-rah speech at halftime. It was, we just were better conditioned. It was the drink your water, like they start telling you in June, and weightlifting and everything else that goes along with it. But yeah, that's a big part of it. And then, of course, we'll move on to two more actually. We'll look at them. 2A, Adams Central and Andrean. Now, Adams Central back at it again, now facing this Andrean team out of the Maryville area, Lake County, I believe. Another team that's been there, done that, almost like a Luers type of team in a lot of ways. Yeah. So, Adams Central is very good, but so is Andrean. And so don't necessarily think it's just automatic because it's Adams Central at semi-state again.
Well, Andrean is a Catholic high school up in the Maryville area, and they've had a great tradition for years and years. They got a quarterback that's thrown for 1,600 yards. They got a kind of a running back by committee, it looks like, because they've got, 3 guys that have over 300 plus yards rushing on the year. And, in the receiving category, pretty much one guy that they like to target is Finley. He has 802 yards receiving this year on 52 receptions and 8 TDs. So, big one. This is a game that Adams Central is going to try to use as much clock as possible because they don't want to give a offense like Andrean time to, put points on the board, and they're going to try to keep them on the sideline as much as they can. And it's possible that they can do that. We've seen them do it before, so it's not going to be a shock if it happens. But Andrean's one of those teams that is very, very good, and they have a long tradition, as does Adams Central. So we're seeing two tradition-rich teams going to tee it up on Friday night. And this is another one you're going to want to check the time on because they're an hour behind us up there. So I'm not quite sure what all is happening with that. So we'll leave it to the administrators and such. But this is another game you like to go see because it's going to be one of those games that, is going to be fun to watch and be a part of.
Yeah, and a key for Andrean, they went and to Lafayette Central Catholic, undefeated number 1 in that Class 2A, and beat them 20-17. So there again, Andrean, the ability to knock off the bet. I mean, in an Andrean versus Lafayette Central Catholic game, there again, 2 powerhouses in some of the smaller classics, 2 Catholic high schools. But Andrean went on the road and knocked off number 1 Lafayette Central Catholic in the regional. Undefeated was Lafayette Central Catholic. So the Fighting 59ers versus the Flying Jets of Adams Central.
Yeah, with Adams Central, the 59ers are a team that is going to be a very difficult team for Adams Central. The last time we had Andrean was against Eastside a few years back, that they kept Eastside from going on to, I believe, state that year. And I want to say we had them against East Noble one time, but memory getting a little cloudy there. But I know the East Side one because that was the game. They had a fullback and a big time quarterback. So they've always got players. So it's not going to be one of those things where you're going to sneak up on them because they got some guys that can ball.
Yeah. And then finally in Class 1A, South Adams travels to number 1 North Judson, 13-0 North Judson, 8-5 South Adams. Look, the work is cut out again for the Starfires. They've already beaten number 5. They've already beaten number 10, and there was another team not in the top 10 in there. But Very impressive what they've been able to do. This is a little bit different of a task, but certainly I think the Starfires at the very least are going to arrive with the idea that they can get the job done.
Well, North Judson runs the same offense that Warsaw does, the same offense that Mishawaka runs.
Are you telling me this is taking over high school football and we're going to start seeing these?
Well, here's the other scary part. They've got
running clock of a different sort.
They've got 3 running backs over 1,000 yards. One has 1,754 yards and the other has 1,455 yards, averaging about 14 and 9.3 yards a carry. So again, tradition-rich team that runs the specialty offense that makes it hard to, for you to defend. And so it will be a tough night. And the thing you have to do, like I said, you have to get in front of them and try to get them off schedule as much as possible. And, South Adams will be able to handle it because they faced Adams Central. So it's not like they haven't seen something similar to what they're going to see Friday night. So it should be, this is another one you kind of like, I got too many games I want to be at.
Absolutely. Yeah. So a big Friday night up ahead for us across this area with semi-states. We're going to have 4 games, 5 teams. We're guaranteed one to go on to state in Class 3A. And some really good teams out there. But we are out of time, Coach, for another edition of Upon Further Review. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. Thanks for Caiden Neuenschwander from South Adams, McKale Woodson from Bishop Luers. I'm Eric Doot-Coach. That's the coach, Shannon Griffith. We'll see you next week as we look ahead to the state finals on Upon Further Review. Good night, everyone.